Effectively, July of 2024, KW is getting rid of profit sharing. What's up, guys? My name is McKeown. I'm a licensed real estate agent and investor in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. And if you didn't hear last week, Keller Williams has effectively made another amendment to their profit share program. Now, if you by chance don't know what exactly profit sharing is, I'm actually going to break down the innovative real estate model that Gary Keller with KW really introduced to the real estate market in the late 1980s. Now, first and foremost, since Keller Williams is a franchise model, every single market in every single state and every single city technically has a different KW office. Now, each one of these KW offices can vary in profitability based on expenses, based on overall cost. There's just a lot that goes into it when it comes to being profitable in a business. If you are, by chance, a business owner yourself, you know firsthand that you can kind of manipulate profit. And I'll give you one example firsthand. Me, myself, I was able to take advantage of a tax code by buying a heavy vehicle solely for my business purpose use only. And because of that, I was able to take a massive loss, or I guess massive expense, on one of my tax years to essentially pay less in taxes. But in return, I also showed that my business was far less profitable than it really was. Again, a simple way that I was able to, as a real estate agent, take advantage of something to show less profit. Now, other business owners, when it comes to just overall expenses, you can see how a profit could certainly be, I guess, manipulated or changed, based on the marketplace that this particular franchise was located in. Now, I will be upfront and honest with you. When it comes to attracting or recruiting agents, it's just part of the business. It's been part of the business since technically real estate even began. Now, we all want to be part of a great association or a great brokerage. And if we see a competing agent doing well, we either want to hop over to that great agent's company or attract them or recruit them to our brokerage. So a lot of the recruiting that happened in the early 90s and 2000s with KW, and the reason why it exploded as fast as it did, was because you essentially got a little bit of that profit or profit share from your local franchise if you were able to attract an agent or recruit an agent over to your local franchise and have them be successful and close deals as well. Now we fast forward to 2020 when KW actually decided to change their profit share model because profit share essentially was becoming a little less competitive when a brokerage called eXp Realty unveiled a new model called revenue share. Now, the big key word difference here is revenue versus profit. As I discussed just a second ago, profit you can easily manipulate. Revenue is a completely different story. Revenue is all of the income that is generated, meaning that before expenses, before any kind of possible tax deductions, revenue is just all of the income that is earned. So if you're sharing revenue versus sharing profit, and if you've looked at these two models comparing profit share to revenue share, you can see why KW certainly had to make an adjustment to be able to combat all of the agents that were leaving Keller Williams for eXp due to the difference in revenue versus profit share. Now, the big change that KW made in 2020 was they required agents to be vested no longer for just 3 years, but 7 years, meaning that, let's say I was at KW for 3 years, decided that, eXp was a good model. As long as I had been there for 3 years and I was vested within their profit share, I could then jump over to eXp and start earning revenue share. So now I have multiple streams of income. And if you're not aware, both of these streams are pretty passive. And especially if I'm no longer working at KW, that profit share that I was vested in is essentially retirement money that I could start looking forward to, whenever I do decide to retire. And I'm certainly not going to sit here and blame any of the agents that were vested with their profit share to jump over to eXp and take advantage of the revenue share. I think we're all after as many passive streams of income as possible. And just with the innovative tech and advancement in just the real estate world, there was bound to be a time where something else came along that I guess put KW under the rug. So at this case, at first, it certainly was eXp, and even beyond eXp, there's certainly been additional brokerages such as Real Brokerage that have come into the real estate realm and certainly given KW a run for its money. And now fast forward to 2023, KW is essentially now rescinding the offer that they had. No longer if you're vested for 3 years or the increase of up to 7 years, and then you decided to leave to a competing brokerage. They are now stating that starting July 1st of 2024, if you're at a competing brokerage and no longer at KW, they are going to be cutting that profit share, or what a lot of agents deemed was a potential, retirement fund for themselves. They're now going to cut that 95%. So let's say you're an agent that has been in the industry for quite some time. Maybe you helped attract agents in the early 2000s, early 2010s, and then you decided to jump over to a competing brokerage, but you were able to collect a massive amount of profit share because you got in early, you got into the franchise, took advantage of the model that Gary Keller gave you. But now you're being told in 2024, 95% of that income is going to be gone unless you come back to KW. Needless to say, this has certainly turned the real estate world upside down, and there's a lot of people on both sides of the fence. So this has really been the talk of the town over the last week when it comes to just real estate agents and the real estate world. A lot of people totally understand the move on KW's part, meaning that why are we continuing to pay agents that are now competing against us and taking agents and profitability away from us? Now, on the flip side, too, there are a ton of people that are frustrated because they are the agents that are sitting in that very position as a vested agent at KW, but now competing and growing another competing brokerage. Now, they are obviously upset because that's a potential source of retirement for them. If they were obviously attracting at KW maybe in the 90s, 2000s, or early 2010s, then yes, they certainly are of age that they're probably getting close to retiring or getting out of the industry. The downside is most real estate agents, we don't have a retirement, meaning we don't have a source of income that's going to continue to pay us if we opt to get out of the business when we're 50, 60, or 70 years old. So I could certainly understand a lot of the frustration for folks that are in that position, meaning they've been in the industry for quite some time, and that kind of income is the income that they certainly had planned on for retirement. Now, yes, they could head back to KW and essentially void the situation that we'll be dealing with next July. But on the flip side, if they are at another competing brokerage and have also started to generate a decent amount of passive income from that new brokerage, more than likely that new brokerage is going to eliminate that revenue share source of income if they do go back to Keller Williams. So really what you're doing here is you're forcing prior KW agents to make a decision. Hey, am I going back to KW and collecting all of my profit share, or am I just putting them in the wins and moving forward with the current brokerage I'm at and hoping that where I'm currently at, I'll be able to generate more income than I was generating at KW? But the biggest disruption here is the fact that a company can essentially go back on its word, meaning initially KW was only requiring a 3-year vest, then they increased it to a requirement of a 7-year vest. Now the key here is the difference in vesting there was to combat revenue share versus profit share, but they still were offering profit share for anyone that left the company, again, as long as they had vested for 7 years. Now they're essentially going away. Sorry, you only get 5% of whatever you've taken maybe 5, 10, 15 years to build at KW unless you come back. So if you are a real estate agent or if you're in the real estate world yourself, I'd love to hear your opinion because this is certainly divisive when it comes to brokerages and just communication back and forth between agents in the real estate industry. I can certainly see this rubbing people the wrong way and certainly having no desire for that particular agent to ever step foot back at KW again. But also on the flip side, if you are an agent that has a substantial amount of profit share, you probably have some ability to influence and potentially attract or recruit. So it hits those individuals that have a substantial amount of profit share that their hands are essentially going to be tied and forced back to KW. And again, all of this is simply to combat a new real estate model that offers revenue share versus profit share. Now, this may seem like a video that's pinning KW against EXP, but what I can tell you as a prior EXP agent for 3.5 years and now at Real Brokerage for close to 3, there are more and more real estate companies that are unveiling this revenue share and publicly traded stock option as a new way to incentivize the agent and give more money to the agent rather than giving more money to the brokerage. Now, if you are familiar with a handful of real estate brokerages, there are a lot of real estate brokerages out there that are outdated, that really put a majority of the money in the hands of the broker, and that's the issue that we're running into right now. In the real estate realm is agents want a majority of the share. They no longer want to be paying a large portion of their commission to their broker. And they also love the idea of being awarded stock based on production and attraction. And the revenue share stream of income is exponentially larger in terms of potential income earned than profit share. So what lies in the future for Keller Williams? All I can tell you is I certainly have enjoyed the model at EXP and now at Real Brokerage with revenue share, and I would never entertain the option of profit share at KW. It just pales in comparison. And I also don't love the idea that you can manipulate profit versus revenue is just outright revenue. There's a reason why revenue share pays out exponentially more than profit share. But there are a handful of other brokerages, which I won't name here specifically, but they're the older age brokerages that offer no profit share, no revenue share, no stock. And I can see those brokerages certainly over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years really seeing their way out of the business. So I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts, your opinions. Do you feel like it's right for Gary Keller to go back on his word, essentially, and now cut a majority of that stream of income for a lot of the agents that helped grow his brokerage? Now, on the flip side, I also can totally understand if you've got someone at a competing brokerage now competing against you, it kind of makes sense to no longer continue to pay them. So what's your guys' opinion? Would love to hear it from you. But with all that being said, guys, I appreciate your support. Thanks again for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video.